Hey everyone, Sleepy Reader here, comic book thoughts. This will probably be a pretty quick one. Um, Big shout out, salute to Scott Constant Bronstar. We will miss you if you're watching, or we will miss him. I will miss him until he comes back to YouTube. And I am really wishing that whatever problems in the physical world he's having will be resolved. Really, good luck to you, brother. So I'm just gonna kind of do a countdown. I read some new comics plus some slightly older Marvel comics that came to me in the mail. So I have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 comics, and I'm gonna rank them downwards. So the least good, probably not surprising to many people, is All New Invaders, although that might be the very best cover. I love that cover. These covers and some of the covers on the Hulk have been done by this guy, Mukesh Singh. Don't know if he's Indian or Pakistan, but he does really good covers, really good covers. I would like to see some interiors by him. Maybe they exist somewhere. This was actually slightly better than the first 2 issues of the All New Invaders. I have a 12-issue subscription, so I'm kind of stuck going along with it, but maybe it will get better. Still kind of in shock. You know, where did James Robinson go wrong? What's up with him? The art seems a bit better, or at least in the scenes where it's not just characters standing around talking, where it's action. I thought the art was pretty cool. Still feel like the coloring style covers up and stiffens Steve Pugh's artwork, because I'm a fan of Steve Pugh's artwork normally. But we get to see a little more of what he can do with straight-ahead superheroes in certain scenes. And also the writing is kind of fun in the big action scenes. I mean, it's cheesy, but at least it's fun. A bit more fun than it was in other issues. But still very, very struggling, a lot of struggling with the exposition. Maybe I'd like to think that James Robinson is just beginning to find his feet with Marvel characters, maybe. Maybe he feels a little awkward and he's trying to fit everything into the Marvel Universe and all of that. I totally accept the idea of this being, a throwback to the kind of Marvel comics where it's mostly just action. But I want that action done well. So we'll see. We'll see if it continues to slowly improve. Maybe it'll actually be good by the time my subscription ends. So that was number 7. Number 6 would be Adventures of Superman. One of my favorite series. And this wasn't bad, but it wasn't, knock your socks off great. It involved a Green Lantern who felt very guilty over something and is hoping Superman will kill him. And the art was pretty good. The story, it was another case with all of these. You usually get either a 10-page story and a 20-page story or a 30-page story. The 30-page stories are almost always the weakest. This could have been much better, I think, in a compressed form than in its current form. But it was okay. This is Umbral number 5. Umbral's the sort of high fantasy or immersive fantasy in this completely separate fantasy world from ours, no connection to our world. Although they always seem to have a little connection to Europe or England. But just in custom and style. But this was another good issue, and in this issue we get some of the sort of mythology backstory that may explain some of the magic goings on. And I definitely feel like after reading this issue, or maybe the issue after this, I should go back and read all the issues, and maybe things will make a little more sense. There's still this feeling of not knowing fully understanding this world and the way it works. And I'm wondering, I think the best bet for this is that it may make kind of an awesome fantasy read when it's out in a bunch of trades, that because it's a long form story that doesn't really have resting points or little mini arcs that solve it. So yeah, it may really be for the. I enjoy picking it up month by month, but I think for most people it may be best in trades when there's a series of trades to read. That's my take on it at the moment. They are taking a break for a month, as a lot of my Image comics are not going to be coming out in April, I think. So it's a little weird to have so many stop at once. It made sense when Saga stopped, but when there's sort of too many comics taking a break at once, it's kind of a weird feeling. Because I'm not sure if I should get more comics or just read less comics this coming month. Anyway, a pretty decent issue. I'm ranking it on the lower side just because I still don't fully understand Umbral. I'll definitely keep getting it. I definitely really enjoy the art and color. Then we have Injustice: Gods Among Us Year 2. I started at the beginning of Year 2. I'm still really enjoying it. We're kind of building up, I think, to some kind of clash between Superman and his supporters and the Green Lantern world. And we're also building up to more of a clash with the Gotham world, and Oracle is in this, and the Birds of Prey. So interesting stuff brewing in this issue, and it's kind of fun. It both harkens back to older DC, pre-New 52 DC, but also can go off in any direction it wants, which is just really cool. So it's continues a strong, fun read. So that was my number. So we got 7, 6. This was number 5. This is number 4. Number 3 didn't come out this week, maybe last week or the week before that. Another really great cover from Marvel there. For a while I was really hating all the Marvel covers I was seeing, but now I'm really enjoying them. This continues the two-thread storyline with old Thor versus Galactus on a basically dead planet Earth, and middle-aged or middle period Thor in our time, working with that S.H.I.E.L.D. agent he has a crush on to battle Roxxon and their evil environmental plans. Yeah, I think we're going to be seeing more and more environmental stories if you hadn't already had enough, because obviously weird things are happening with the weather. We got to start wondering if some of the worst predictions about global warming are going to start coming true in the decades to come. We may all want to move to Canada, and Canada may not want us to move in there as if the U.S. and Mexico become deserts. I hope that's not going to happen. But anyway, that's kind of my thoughts when reading this. It's fun to read, but I also just feel kind of worried about the environment as I read it. So that was number 3. Number 2, and it was really close between number 2 and number 1, was Red Lanterns. And I can't decide. So now this is a series, I guess, or an arc called Red Daughter of Krypton. And it obviously connects to Supergirl, because Supergirl has become a Red Lantern, these lanterns of anger. And I thought this was really well done. I think I'm not going to get Supergirl, but it tempts me to get Supergirl. And it's kind of setting it up. It's like following this family. It's like this group of misfits, like a biker gang or something, is becoming a family. And now they've got a daughter, a rebellious, problematic, super powerful daughter. And that's really interesting. And all the beats were handled well, even though this was an issue that just kind of had to deal with DC Universe continuity. We had to acknowledge that Superman has some kind of connection to Supergirl, and that that the Lanterns would need to try to deal with that Superman connection to Supergirl. At first, this seemed like a really great cover to me. Sorry for sort of switching subjects. But the hands really bother me. Each or almost every hand in this picture has something slightly off about it. Like Superman's hand there, one of the fingers is going off in the wrong direction. Her hand here looks kind of cool, except that the little finger is bending inwards in a way that I don't think a little finger quite does. Well, maybe it does do that. Okay, well, then I apologize for that. So, kind of a cool cover. Really cool colors. The art on the Red Lanterns, which has been the same artist since I've started reading it, Alexandro, or started reading it this time, because I remember reading it when Sepulveda was doing it. Where are the credits? They're probably at the end. Alessandro Vitti. It's kind of, what's the right term? It's kind of got an inky feeling to it that's really growing on me. I've heard some people complain about his Superman here, and I suppose the face is a little odd, but I kind of like the way he does the Superman costume and gets the feeling of armor without it quite looking quite so ugly. But anyway, I really am starting to really enjoy Vitti's drawing style and his way of conveying the story and everything. So my pleasure at this book continues, even though this particular issue may not be like the most exciting issue ever, because as I said, they're dealing with the continuity kind of issues. So if you're at all tempted by this idea of Supergirl becoming a Red Lantern, I'd say give it a shot. I think it's just a fun read. And I as I continue to experience Charles Soule's writing, he just gets every beat in a pleasant way, and there's a nice rhythms to his stories, and he never hits you over the head with what the theme is or what's going on, but you start feeling the themes building up. I'm starting to feel kind of a theme of a ragtag group becoming a family here. The shame is that no doubt this is just, having her join the team is just a brief promotional crossover, and I'm guessing in 3 or 4 or 5 issues she'll be gone. She'll be back to normal, even though they say you can't, you have to die to lose your red ring. I'm sure they'll find a way, which is unfortunate. I'd almost love it if they canceled her book and she just became a member of the Red Lanterns and they went with it, you know, as a long-term story thing. But anyway, while it lasts, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Then my number 1 book was Alex and Ada, which, as always, is one of my favorites from Image. Very different from almost everything else. The cover looks kind of sexual, but it's really not a sexual issue. It's just all about Ada's awakening, her beginning of her sentience, her awareness of herself, and a new beginning of the relationship between Alex and Ada. So I highly recommend that. Okay, I will talk to all of you soon in another video. Hope you're all well. Bye-bye.